We're back with Ray Ferraro. Okay, let's talk about some other stuff. How shocked are you at this Seattle performance? Is this team? A lot of people thought last year they were going to be really good. Maybe
Wow.
not as good as Vegas, but there were some people who thought that this team was going to be okay. I don't know too many people who thought this team was going to be this much better. They're pretty good.
They are. What's really interesting, I think, because of the way Vegas sprung out of the chute there,
Of course.
Most of us looked at what Seattle did in the expansion draft and how they spent their money in the first year and looked at it in a vacuum. But what Ron Francis and his team was doing was looking at it in a larger, longer frame.
Yeah.
So now, if I were the GM, I would have tried to of an expansion team. I would try to get to the offense first, thinking we're not going to be very good, and I want the people in my building to be entertained. And if we lose 7-5 every night, we'll get to that the next year. They went about it the other way. They went for defense. They spent money on Grubauer, who unfortunately hasn't been very good or hurt for them. And they weren't going to score a lot, but the value for the players that was out there, like the money that was there for them to absorb, it was more than 1 year. And not speaking for Ron, but they weren't going to do that. So now they muddled their way through that first year, and it didn't go as well as they thought. But right now, they go and they add offense in the offseason. They get healthy. 5 of their top 9 forwards weren't with their team last year. And Oliver Bjorkstrand had 28 goals last year. He's got 3.
Yeah.
They bring him in for Columbus. They stockpiled some picks. They traded two picks for Bjorkstrand because Columbus wanted to bring in Goodrow. So they were able to do that. So it became a 2-year plan. I don't know how sustainable it is for them in year 2, mainly because their goalies are, Martin Jones has had a really terrific year win-loss wise. He's stopping the puck 88% of the time.
Yeah.
And he's had to play more because Grubauer has been hurt again. So I don't know defensively if they're as strong as I thought they were going to be. Offensively, they're miles ahead. And if people get a chance, watch them play. Watch Matty Beniers play. That kid's a player. He's an exciting 20-year-old, going to be a great, great young player.
So your assessment is they are overachievers right now?
A little bit right now. Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
I did a game down there against Minnesota. I've got 2 coming up right around the holiday. On the 30th, they play Edmonton, and the 1st, the Islanders. So I'm looking forward to going and seeing them because I haven't seen them live in 6 weeks. And but I think it's remarkable the leap they've taken from last to this year.
The other big story in hockey, Ray, is happening in your town, in Vancouver. And that's what's going to happen to the captain. Where do you see the Bo thing coming out? Do you think next year do you think he'll finish the season as a Vancouver Canuck?
I mean, it's funny. Most people think I do know because, Cammie's in the management group. I'm telling you,
she's a secretive person.
Yeah. Well, right over there, you can see a door. There's a barn door there. When she's working from home, when that door's closed, that's like, don't go in there. Like if I've got stuff in there, too bad, I can't get it. So I got no idea. But here's how however you get to the place you're at, what did people think the Canucks were going to be this year? Did they think they were a lock playoff team or a bubble team? I think most felt they were a bubble team. Yep. And it's been messy and sloppy and then a really good stretch. And, they're kind of around the bubble fighting for a spot. Bo's season is incredible. He's been marvelous. Of course, his agent, Pat Morris, would like Bo to be paid like a 45 goal scorer because that's what he's doing. However, he's never done it before. And so you can imagine the Canucks are like, yeah, well, wait a minute. This has been his body of work. And so therein lies the difference. Bo is He's a terrific citizen. He's a hard, diligent player. He's productive. And if you pay him $8 million, you've got the same team, but you've just paid more for it. That, as if I'm GM, and I'm certainly not, that's my view of it. You have the contracts you've got, and for all this, people go, well, they just need to trade one of their defensemen. If a guy's got a no move clause, you can't trade him. If a guy's making millions of dollars, you can't find cap room to move them anywhere. So it gets all back to, would the Canucks like to keep Bo Horvat? Of course they would. Can they? Man, you can only put so much sand in the jar, and it just doesn't fit. To me, it seems likely that no, but stranger things happen.
But to address John's question directly, sorry, John, do you trade Horvat? You don't want him to walk. I mean,
he's not walking.
Player to walk.
Not walking. The only guys I ever see let walk are if you're a really good team, and you're like, you know what? If I trade him now, it's for a future, a future return.
Right.
But I think our team's got a chance now. So we'll take the view that we've just brought him in a trade and we're going to let him go in the summer. That would be the view a great competitive championship contender could take. But when you're in that mid-range group, you cannot let assets go for zip. You
that's
just
the
can't.
difference. That's the difference between Horvat this year and Gaudreau last year.
Right. Calgary's not trading Gaudreau last year. I know it didn't work out for them, but damn, that was the best line in hockey.
Yeah.
They weren't, how are you making your team any better by trading them? You're not, and you're like, we're going to take a run now and hopefully it works. Well, it didn't.
Yeah. Vancouver is not in that position.
Yeah.
No.
I would agree.
Yeah. It's funny. Yeah. The Horvat one is and the other part of it, and I'm not trying to be harsh on Patrick and Jimmy, is Horvat wasn't their pick, so they're not necessarily in love with him like Jim Benning would have been, or even Mike Gillis and Lawrence Gilman would have been. He hasn't grown up as the captain of the Vancouver Canucks with Jim Rutherford and Patrick Alvin around. So that becomes a real that there's a bit of an ego thing there, and a very subjective storyline of what a player is to a team. Correct?
Well, sure. I think that's more of a narrative when you're I won't say butting heads, but when you're at odds with the way that player has played, or that player has been around the locker room, all that sort of stuff.
Right.
Bo's been impeccable. Like I don't think there's any question they'd like to keep him. But again, like, how do you do it? Like, how does it work? And the money brought in is a real thing. Like, before they got here, now they've added players of their own. They re-signed Miller, they added Mikheyev, but the money here from before is a real thing, and you can't just make it go away. You can't start over.